Hello up there. Howdy, howdy. This is weird because never in my life at my size have I ever had to look up at an audience. And that creates somewhat of a little challenge for me. The other challenge that I have today, and I hope you'll bear with me, and I'm going to share this with you before I get started, is that I can't see the screen. So I may move off to the side a little bit because of the transitions with slides, and I want to make sure that what's there is what I'm talking about. So as we get started this morning, thank you very much for having me here today. It's a great pleasure to be here, great venue. So, what do you think of meetings? You love them. Thanks for the participation. I don't know what happened to the screen. There we go. Aha! So what do you think of meetings? Other than you love them, what else do you think about them? Help me out here. They mean business. What else?
They're my livelihood.
They're your livelihood. What else? They can be boring. That's true. So what do you think the man on the street thinks about meetings? They can be boring. Here's what I think. They hate meetings. The average person hates meetings, and the reason why they hate meetings is they don't view meetings the way we view meetings. We view meetings as the 2-day, the 3-day, the 4-day, the inspirational, the getting together, the networking, the sharing of the best practices, all of that. They think of meetings as the one that takes place at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, that keeps them all tied up all day long, which means they have to do their work in the evening and on weekends, and sometimes even while they're on vacation. So they hate meetings. And so we have a problem in this industry. And the challenge is that the meetings industry is often viewed as the invisible industry. People don't know what we do. If you were to Google meetings, you will find out that most of the connotations about meetings are all negative. There are very few positive things. So consequently, when we have media attacks or the government challenges us or there are things that happen in our industry that draw attention to ourselves, everybody immediately gets the negative connotation of meetings. So we have to do something to break that paradigm. We have to get our head out of the sand. It's vitally important that we start to grow our own influence. How do we do that? The great Louis Armstrong said, "If you don't blow your own horn, there is no music." All too often, our industry has remained very silent about the value of what our industry is, the value of meetings, the value of the meetings industry, what takes place when we gather face to face. We need to grow that influence. And so we have created a national campaign called Meetings Mean Business. Prior to today, how many people have heard about Meetings Mean Business? About a third of the audience, maybe a little bit less. That's actually not too bad. We're starting to make a little bit of headway with this. Meetings Mean Business was a coalition that was created by all the industry organizations 5 years ago when we had the economic downturn and there was the AIG effect and there were other issues. And then it kind of sat on the sidelines after we did an economic significance study on the industry and things started to get back to normal. Then everybody said, we don't have to do anything more. And that couldn't be further from the truth because we are one selfie away from another scandal. And by the way, if you're a meeting professional, selfie should not be in your vocabulary, particularly while you're working. Anyone that takes a selfie of themselves in a suite in Las Vegas working for the government, and it's a presidential suite and they tweet out that they're here for a government meeting, isn't necessarily the smartest individual that we want representing our industry. But as you see with this coalition, there is the CIC is a part of it, ASAE, MPI, PCMA, AHLA, IAEE, and all the different alphabet soups as we go along, but there's a lot of corporate participation. Marriott Hotels, Hilton, Caesars, MGM, Intercontinental, I mean, on and on and on. Everybody is joining the cause, and we're raising a lot of money to reach out. And I'm going to talk to you a lot today about this campaign and this coalition, but first, feel free to use the social media. Feel free to make sure that we are posting and talking about what the value of meetings are, about how meetings mean business. And later on, I'm actually going to have a tweet for you. So have your phones ready because it won't be up very long in this format. So you can take a photo of it and then go ahead and post the tweet so that we can get it out. But anything that you want to do from a standpoint of following me, everything's my name. I can't run and I can't hide. It's Roger Rickard. So Twitter, Roger Rickard. Facebook, Roger Rickard. LinkedIn, Roger Rickard. Google Plus, Roger Rickard. There's a theme there. So first we're going to do a little bit of advocacy myth busting, because oftentimes when we talk about advocacy and an advocacy campaign, most people make an assumption that it's government affairs. And that when they think of advocacy, they think of lobbying. Well, that is a part of what advocacy is. But I want to help break down a few things. And so I'm going to go over what I call the 7 branches of the advocacy tree quickly so that you can get a bigger picture of things. Before they do that, take a look at this. That video was put together about 5 or 6 years ago and was shown once at MPI. And yet, to me, I think that's one of the most powerful videos our industry's ever created, because what does it do? It shows you that each and every one of those meetings were an important turning point or change in how our society moves on and advances itself, and it all happened live, face to face, what we do. So when people say that meetings don't matter and that we don't need to get together, look at that list and talk about how society has moved forward because of those kind of meetings. Now, fortunately, with the new leadership within MPI, those are being shown more and more and more now. But I couldn't believe that that video, which is incredibly powerful, was shown once initially. So here are the 7 branches: government, media, public service, brand, cause, industry, and people power. These are the 7 different branches of the advocacy tree. And unfortunately, due to time constraints, I'm going to have to fly through these pretty quick today. But the first example is government advocacy. We know that. We know that we have the ability to redress our leaders, whether it's at the local level, state level, or at the national level, and our ability to go lobby or at least express our concern about issues that matter to us. That's a part of advocacy. Media advocacy. Take a look at this photo. Does anyone know either person in that photo? You do. Nope, that was a maybe. The man is a former U.S. Senator. His name is Dick Lugar from Indiana. The woman is a lady by the name of Candy Lightner. Candy Lightner used the media through the senator to get her cause the movement that it needed on a national level. Candy was not the first woman to have lost a child to a drunk driver. But Candy Lightner happens to be the founder of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And it was the first time that the Capitol was used for a cause to hold a press conference to be able to advance the quality of the cause. Now, I could go into the whole background story, but I'll give you one little tidbit. Mothers Against Drunk Driving has two meanings. The one that's Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the second meaning is that the person that killed her daughter had been arrested the night before, and the law in California required that no matter what time they were arrested and whether they were still drunk or not, at 6 a.m., they had to be let go. 2 hours later, her daughter was killed. And when the police got there and knew who it was and who did it, they kept telling her, we're mad. We're mad. There's nothing else we could do. So it has a dual meaning. That's media advocacy. Think, as we go through these today, think about the hottest advocacy campaign out there right now, and that's the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Look at how they're using media. They're using social media to continue to gain presence in what they're doing. I'm in the middle of writing a book called The Because Behind the Cause, and it's a story of how ordinary people have created extraordinary causes. And you'll hear a few more little stories as we go along here. But if you have an interest in that, just write cause on the back of a business card, and I'll put you on that database. Public service advocacy. Look at this. Every 9 seconds, a woman is abused in the United States. That's terrible. But public service announcements are nothing but advocacy announcements. And if you don't believe me, take a quick look. So the interesting thing about that is every one of those little snippets was to create an emotion and to back it up in some way. So you saw a lot of statistics, but you didn't see things, you saw maybe like 1 in 5. Well, if you come from a family of 5 and you look around the room, that's one of a representative of that. It didn't say 80% don't have. It said 1 in 5 do. And it's all about cause. it's all about engagement. It's all about you wanting you to take an action or to think about what actions are going on out there. Brand advocacy. There's a ton of examples, but this one's fabulous. AT&T, it can wait, don't text, don't drive campaign. Now, why would AT&T do that? They would do that simply because, A, they don't want any further interference of legislation or regulation out there. It's the right thing to do for their customers, even though they're telling their customer not to do something and spend money at that given time. Another great example of that would be the don't drink and drive. Have a responsible driver. And another one with that is gambling. Caesars does a great video on know when to say when about gambling. Cause advocacy, we talked a little bit about MAD. Susan G. Komen, Nancy Brinker was sitting in a hospital room and she asked her sister, "What's the one thing I can do for you?" And her sister said, "Make sure that you convince one person that what I have is not contagious." That was a long time ago, and that person happened to be Susan G. Komen. And look at the great work. And one of the things that happens, and to piggyback a little bit on the previous presentation, is that in my research for this book is these causes are created not because someone wants to change the world, they want to right one wrong. And then it moves on. Industry advocacy, of course we have the Meetings Mean Business campaign, which is one industry, one voice. Another industry campaign was the economic significance study of the meetings industry, the PricewaterhouseCoopers study, which I'm going to go through these real quick. We just did an update on that. Attendees have increased 10% in the last 3 years. GDP has increased by 9% in the meeting sector. Taxes increased by 9.6%, and job growth increased 8.3%. The industry is getting healthier every day, minute by minute. And the last one is people power. And I guess some of the best examples of that are the ability to get out and make a difference by participating as a group. And think about probably the best example that was ever done in the US, and that was August of 1963, almost to the day when Martin Luther King gave the I Have a Dream speech. I don't have time to explain it, but I would suggest to anyone in this industry, go to pbs.org and look for the hour show called The March. It's not so much about what was said there, it was about how they organized it. And as event organizers and meeting planners, you would be blown away with all the walls that were put up to make that successful. And it was incredible how they made it successful and changed a world. Here's what we know for sure. With little influence, we have a low profile. People need to know what we do. How hard is it to tell your mother what you do? Now listen to that. People laughed. Every single time I say that, people laugh. But here's the challenge, folks. If we can't convince our mummy, who loves us and cares about us and will listen to the whole story about what we do, how are we ever going to convince anybody else about what we do and how we do it? So we do seriously need to do a better job of telling people the importance of what the meeting professional is. Or we're going to be vulnerable to this list of things: reductions, loss, government regulation, adverse funding policy decisions, or media attacks. That will constantly happen until we get a better voice and a stronger voice. Often I put this up here just simply because the women like to look at it. But in reality, Don Draper said, if you don't like what's being said, change the conversation. And our role with Meetings Mean Business is to change the conversation. There's 3 central pillars in that. One is creating personal connections. Our ability to point out what happens when we get together face to face. What are those values? What transpires? Warren Buffett said, you will never see eye to eye if you don't meet face to face. So you want to talk about a successful businessman that absolutely understands the ability of the connection face to face. A report on the state of the modern meeting that was done by Merritt's is 94% of CEOs said that face-to-face improves their business relationships. Now they get it. Now how do we make sure that we convince them that they continue to use the vehicle and meetings? I want to read this one because it's a little long, but I wanted to read it word for word. Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, said, "I could sit in my office and do video conferences nearly anywhere in the world, but because that is so easy, people actually expect you to show up more. To make the effort and to demonstrate the respect, to sit across the table and to look eye to eye. It reflects a commitment to the relationship that you cannot get from sending an email or doing a video conference." And think about that. We may have all of the tools to be able to achieve learning and engagement through technology, but it's that ability to get together that makes a huge difference. We need to be pushing and driving the positive business outcomes. Merritt's Institute did this study that said that for every dollar spent in business travel, you're returning $10 to $15 to the bottom line of the organization. That's an important number. Chief marketing officers of Fortune 1000 companies said the best return on their investment are meetings, incentives, and events. Those are the people that are tasked with getting the word out about their organization and about their product. And the best return is what we produce. And it's about building strong communities. It's about being a job creator, an economic engine, a major tax generator, and the success of other businesses that we support with our efforts. Take a look at this last video.
Meetings mean economic growth and, most importantly, jobs for all of us throughout the United States.
It's that interaction with people that allows them to see who you are and allows them to build a sense of trust.
Meetings to us really means collaboration.
Well, meetings in Miami means jobs.
Meetings are where you learn.
Meetings mean increased revenue.
A strong economy for Chicago.
Nothing can replace sitting down with someone or a group. It's the most important kind of communication there is.
It means really adding value in almost anything you're trying to accomplish.
It is all about the experiences that we have when we're together that can't be recreated by technology.
So really it's about those human connections that allow an experience to feel like it's so personal.
It's the conversation, it's the dialogue, it's the trust that's being built in the hallway.
I can't think of a single deep relationship that I have with a client or an industry colleague that wasn't forged over face-to-face business meetings or through face-to-face conventions and educational summits.
The economic impact of meetings is phenomenal, not just on the travel industry, but what gets done at a meeting.
If you walk through any trade show floor on any given day, you will see millions of dollars being generated in sales.
And if you want to grow your company, if you want to grow your association, if you want to grow whatever organization is important to you, you're going to do it through face-to-face interactions.
When Congress goes and convenes and creates solutions, they don't do it in separate rooms, they do it together.
The outcomes of a face-to-face meeting far exceed the outcomes of any other kind of exchange.
The power of meetings and events to the economic health and value of our country and internationally is tremendous.
You see taxi drivers working, you see folks in hotels actually working, you see restaurant employees working, you see the economic impact of those individuals that are in our communities.
The economic power that meetings brings to so many cities, the creation of jobs, the sustainability of jobs.
All the members of the meetings community are on board, and we're going to do something together.
We have an amazing opportunity right now as an industry to not only learn from our past, but truly protect our future.
One voice on behalf of the industry is so much louder.
When a politician goes and wants to say something derogatory about the meetings industry, we want them to think twice.
We want them to go, that means jobs, that means economic impact.
The entire industry, not just the leaders, but the grassroots start really talking about our industry and the benefits that we bring.
We are standing strong, we're standing together, and we're launching the Meetings Mean Business Coalition and the messaging campaign starting now.
So that everyone who's a member of our companies and our associations gets it and goes out and starts to speak with that same voice, people will begin to understand the value of Meetings Means Business.
Together, we will advance our story and drive a conversation around the value of our industry.
Let's do it together.
One industry, one voice.
Maybe. In closing, I wanted to make a couple of points, and that is that you've got a card in front of you. Go to meetingsmeanbusiness.com, sign up, register. You also have the ability to have a mobile app, and that mobile app is available through iPhone or Android, and it gives you all the statistics, everything that's going on, the talking points, everything that's happening within the campaign. So go and download that. And thank you very much. If you have any questions or anything, I will be here all day. Would love to talk to you in more detail about it. I appreciate your time so much.